Good morning, students. Today I am going to start your 5th chapter from Ristar's book Should Wizard Hit Mommy, which is written by John Updike. First of all, we will know about the author. John Updike was born in March 18, 1932, and he took his last breath on January 27 in 2009. He was an American novelist, poet, story writer, art critic, and literary critic. One of only 3 writers who win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction more than once. Updike published more than 20 novels, more than a dozen short story collections, as well as poetries, art and literary criticism, and children books during his career. Now, children, theme of the chapter, the story deals with child innocence and the adult complexes. The story is a narrative within a narrative and involves issues such as parental authority and parental prejudices foisted on children. A sub-theme of the story is that mothers are always right, which directly relate to Jack's own experiences with his mother. Now, main character of the story, Jack, the father of a 4-year-old daughter, Joe, his name is Jonah. Owl, who is a wise owl in the story. Wizard, who created the magic spell. This is an owl and Sir Wizard. Now, introduction of the story is, here's the story about the world view of a little child and a different moral question she raises during the story session with her father. The story revolves around the Jack, who is the father of 2 kids, Jonah and Bobby. His wife Claire is carrying their 3rd child. Jack had a habit of telling his daughter's story, Joe, a story every evening and on the Saturday afternoon naps. This time, when he was telling her a story, she interrupts him and asks him questions wherever she feels that things that are being told are not right. So, Jack now finds himself in a fix and doesn't know how to resolve Joe's questions. Parents feel that children should do or think exactly what they are told. They should believe whatever they are told by their parents. But is this the right attitude? The moral question is raised by the story and left for the reader to decide what should be done. Now, children, explanation of the chapter. Every evening and on Saturday afternoon naps, Jack used to tell his daughter a bedtime story. This habit started when Joe was 2 years old, and now that Joe was 4 years old, Jack did not have any creative idea for stories. Most of the stories that he used to tell Joe revolved around the same plot concerning an animal named Roger. In every story, Roger used to be a difficult animal and with some kind of a problem. Then Roger would go to see Wise Owl to take some help, and who would in turn tell him to go to the wizard. Then Roger would take this problem to the wizard, and who would help him in exchange for some money, mostly a bit more than that the Roger had with him. After helping him, the wizard would ask him to go to the certain place to fetch some money, and Roger would do exactly like that. Then after paying the wizard, Roger go back and all the other animals would start playing with him. He would be very happy, and later he would return home with just in time to wait for his father, who would be returning from Boston by train. So this is the Jack. This is in picture we can see wizard. So Jack had now started getting tired of this daily routine because he had run out of the idea for the story. Also, Joe didn't sleep listening to the story anymore. He had started feeling that the practice was just a waste of time and there was no point of doing it. He also noticed that Joe had started growing big and had her legs now stretched halfway down the bed when she snuggled in for her story. With all the light coming in from the window over her face that was deep in the pillow, Jack knew that she wouldn't be sleeping soon. Bobby, her little brother, who was 2 years old, was exactly sleeping with his bottle in his mouth. When Jack asked Joe that who should be the story be about that day, she thought for a while and replied that she wanted it to be a skunk. Jack then thought that she must have had about this animal in nursery school, and also got enthusiastic as he had a new hero for his story. Then Jack started the story with the Roger skunk living in the forest. Jack said that Roger smelled bad. None of other animals in the forest liked to play with him. All the other animals would start running away whenever he would go out to play. At this moment, Jack was recollecting about certain humiliation that he had faced during his childhood for being foul smelling. Then Joe asked whether Roger would see the wise owl. Jack was sitting beside her and noticed that Joe was getting anxious with the story and felt pleased with it. He did not want to hurry and wanted to make the story more intense as he wanted to convey the message through it. Suddenly, Jack heard a voice downstairs of a chair being pulled and realized that he must go down to help his wife painting the living room furniture, but had to continue with the story as Joe had not slept yet. So Jack continued that the Roger skunk was sad, and as he walked he came across a tree when he saw the wise owl. The skunk then shared his problem with the wise owl, and the owl started thinking of how he could help the little skunk. Then Joe shouted enthusiastically that the wise owl would ask him to go to the wizard, as she had known about the basic plot of the story her dad used to tell her. Jack got a bit irritated and scolded her and asked her if she wanted to tell the story by herself. Joe denied, and Jack asked her to lie down peacefully and continue listening to the story. So Joe told Jack to tell the story out of his head. Then Jack continued with the story that the old owl told Roger to go to see the wizard for his problem. Then Joe interrupted him and asked if the magic spells that the wizard used were real. When Joe asked this question, Jack realized that Joe was coming into the reality phase and had started asking the questions about the things her parents used to tell her. He noticed that she no longer believed her parents blindly and was curious about everything that was told to her. So, Jack repeated her question, to which Jack replied that the spells were real in story. He continued with his story that the skunk went through the way the wise owl and asked him to go and reached a white house and knocked the window, or you can say window sill also. So children, that's all in this class. Rest part of the story will be continued in another class. So read the story nicely so that you will be able to understand. It's a beautiful story. Give a nice reading. Thank you.